Okay, if you draw any component such that if you represent the length of the component, depth and height, the three mutual perpendicular axes. So from now onwards, we'll discuss in terms of depth axis, length axis and height of the component instead of x, y and z. If we represent these three axes with equal inclination to each other, then the view is called as isometric view. Orthographic projections are when you are seeing the component in exactly perpendicular direction. It is called as isometric. It is called as ortho in perpendicular direction to any reference planes. But in isometric, to show all the features as in a pictorial view, the easiest way is representing them in isometric view. And here our problems will be like they will give the front view, top view, and side view of the component and ask us to draw the isometric view. సో దీనికి ఏంటంటే మనకు కావాల్సింది the clear observation and practice. Only with these two we can solve the problems in isometric. So actually there are three types of representing. The first one, as I said, is isometric view. The second one, here also one more figure is there. See here, the length of the component is shown exactly horizontal, height is also shown vertically, and depth is drawn at around 45 degrees inclination. Height, vertical presentation, width exactly horizontal, and depth at 45 degrees. So if you draw a component in this way, it is called as oblique view. It is called as oblique view. And one more type of representation is there. This is perspective view. Suppose actually any three dimension in a photos kani, images kani, if you observe, what happens is if the object is away from our observer, away from the observer, it gradually size reduces and at some point it vanishes. So it consider cheskuni nearer to the observer, we'll draw it to the maximum side and will depending on the object dimensions, we will decide the vanishing points and join these visible line. Nearer on the line, first line will join to the visible lines and project all those along that axis. So this is one more way of representing pictorially. This is called as perspective projection. So three types of drawings are there to represent any component three-dimensionally. That is, one is isometric, second one oblique, and third one is perspective. But in our syllabus, we have only isometric views. So let us go through the presentation. So just now I said the first two types, isometric, perspective. These two are oblique and perspective. In isometric, what you are representing is you are representing length, depth, and height of the component. These three axes. Iso means equal inclination. See here, if you observe the angle 120, 120, 120. Represent this is called as isometric representation. So this is the isometric scale. Suppose if you are seeing exactly perpendicular directions, we can see the true shape or true dimensions. So we discussed in the projections of planes or solids. So when the plane is perpendicular to the v direction, we can see its true length. But now we are drawing in an inclined view. We are seeing the component in an inclined direction. So what happens? The size of the component, definitely it will reduce. The size of the component must be represented in reduced shape. And the relation between these two lengths is around, here. How to get these values? The relations. Actually, no need of all these. It is around 0.815 times we have to reduce each and every line for showing the isometric to the true dimensions. Now, let us try to draw simple planes in isometric shape. Suppose here you are given front view, top view, and side view. When you draw a cube such that it's one of the solid diagonal, the solid diagonal CE. If you observe this diagonal CE, if you keep this diagonal such that it is perpendicular to the viewing direction, the other three edges of the cube, the three edges of the cube will be in a position such that these three are equally inclined to the viewing direction. So this is how we got an isometric view. If you compare the two shapes, the true shape of the square, isometric shape of the square, true shape of the square and isometric shape of the square. If you overlap these two, isometric shape of the square and true shape. So if in true shape, all the sides are inclined at 45 degrees. In isometric view, as we are getting 120 degrees inclination to each other, it is inclined at 30 degrees to the horizontal. So this part will take for comparison of isometric dimension to true dimensions. I'll show it in the next one. Ratio of these two lines, BA and BP. The ratio of these two, BA and BP, is around equal to 9 by 11 or 0.815. So remember this value for objective type questions or short answer. And present our examination point of view don't have any objective type or short answers. So you may not get this question. And this is how to relate the isometric length to true length. So ఎలా అంటే ఒక హారిజాంటల్ లైన్ కి ఇంక్లైన్ గా 30 degrees inclined line and draw one more 45 degrees inclined line and draw the lines, vertical lines relating each and every point. So here, actually we are considering this as the true length. So true length మీద mark point at 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 centimeters. See 4 points in draw the vertical line. So what it indicates? 10 mm true length and the same distance is 0.815 times reduced. Length will get directly from this scale. Now, again in this, suppose if you observe this cube figure, if you observe this top face of the face, this is visible in top view direction and these two faces are in vertical position. Is it or not? These two faces are like they are standing position and this top face is like it is in horizontal positions. So how to draw these shapes in isometric view? Suppose if you want to draw a rectangle in isometric view, so మీరు షీట్లో డ్రా చేయాల్సింది. The first problem is
సార్ రికార్డింగ్ స్టార్ట్ చేయలేదు సార్.
స్టార్ట్ అయిందమ్మా. Let me check. Okay, recording I started for one section, so both the sections ki same recording అవుతుంది. I am conducting parallel class for both the sections, IT 1 and 2. Okay. The first problem in isometric view is drawing the shapes of simple planes. The first one is rectangle. How to draw a rectangle in isometric view? So as I said, we are representing the three dimensions: length of the component, depth axis and height axis in three mutually perpendicular directions. If you observe, as these three are equal inclined at 120, 120, 120. Height is always, vertical dimension is always represented in perpendicular to ground. And these two lines, total 120. Horizontal line డ్రా చేస్తే ఏమవుతుంది యాంగిల్ 30, 30. చూడండి. Okay, if you see here, the three mutually perpendicular axes, 120, 120, 120. But ఈ total ఇక్కడ 90 కాబట్టి inclination to horizontal becomes 30. Here also same as vertical axis ki horizontal ki మధ్య angle 90 కాబట్టి the remaining angle is 30 degrees. ఇక్కడ ఏం చేస్తామంటే సపోజ్ ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు డ్రా ఎ రెక్టాంగిల్ ఇన్ ఫ్రంట్ వ్యూ అంటే మీన్స్ ఇన్ ఏ వర్టికల్ పొజిషన్, టాప్ వ్యూ అంటే ఇన్ ఏ హారిజంటల్ పొజిషన్. సపోజ్ ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు డ్రా ఎ రెక్టాంగిల్ ఇన్ ఫ్రంట్ వ్యూ పొజిషన్, first what you have to draw is draw the length axis and height axis. In front view we can see the length and height, is it? Or in side view you can see the depth and height. So height axis ఎప్పుడు కూడా vertical గా ఉంటుంది. Length axis is drawn at an inclination of 30 degrees to the horizontal. A line 30 degrees to the horizontal line draw చేసి next మార్క్ పాయింట్ బి ఆన్ దిస్ కార్నర్. ఈ కార్నర్లో పాయింట్ బి మార్క్ చేసుకోండి. బిసి డిస్టెన్స్ మెజర్ చేసి బిఆర్ డిస్టెన్స్ ఆర్క్, బిఏ డిస్టెన్స్తో బిఆర్ పాయింట్ ఆర్క్, బిఏ బిసి అండ్ సిడి ఏడి. సో బెటర్ లెట్ మీ షో ఇట్ ఆన్, మీకు ఇలా కంటే కూడా బెటర్ ఐ షోట్ ఆన్ బోర్డ్ అ వీడియో. Just wait for a minute. Audio mute చేయండి. I'm hearing some disturbance. Audio mute చేయండి. Someone has unmuted their audio. చూడండి ఎవరు. వీడియో కనిపిస్తుందా for both the sections? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Section 1 వీడియో కనిపిస్తుందా?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How to draw a simple planes in isometric view? Suppose if you want to draw a rectangle of 30 mm by 50 mm side, length 30 mm or length 50 mm and height 30 mm. First, draw the rectangle with the given dimension. 50 mm, and height 30 mm. How to draw this rectangle in isometric view? It is first draw an inclined line at 30 degrees to the horizontal. Inclined line 30 degrees to the horizontal. So ఎప్పుడు కూడా మనం height will represent it perpendicular to the ground, length or depth ఈ రెండింటిని కూడా హారిజంటల్ కి 30 degrees inclination తో డ్రా చేసుకుంటాం. Will represent the length or depth dimensions in 30 degrees inclination. So a component ki this is the length and height. So length is drawn at 30 degrees inclination. 30 degrees inclination to line draw chesi. Suppose these are the points A, B, C, D. So some point A, draw a line at 30 degrees inclination and from both the ends, height 30 mm. Draw the 30 mm vertical lines on both the ends and join these endpoints. This is the isometric representation of a rectangle in vertical position or front view position. The isometric view representation of a rectangle in front view position. So front view along the rectangle is in a standing position. And now how to draw a rectangle in top view position? So top view, what are the dimensions we can see? In top view you can see depth of the component and width of the component. See here. Front view or side view, రెండు directions చూస్తే front view side view ఒకే రకంగా అనిపిస్తుంది. These two. And this is the top view direction. And this is the height axis, length axis, and depth axis. If you observe in front view direction, these two lines are inclined at 30, 30. Height axis is always shown in vertical. What about top view? In top view you can see length and depth components. So these two are drawn both at 30 degrees inclination. No need to draw this horizontal line. This is simply a reference line. Draw it with 2H pencil. Drawing sheet lo draw chesinapudu 2H pencil tho draw cheyandi. Draw 50 mm long line in 30 degrees inclination and similarly 30 mm long line in 30 degrees inclination towards left. Now E and diagram again E line ki parallel. If you use the drafters we can complete it easily. These two lines are parallel to each other, inclined at 30 degrees, means all the depth axis 1, 2, 3 మూడు కూడా representing the depth. So these three are always inclined at 30 degrees towards left. Similarly, length of the component E line perpendicular parallel lines. These three lines are always inclined at 30 degrees to rightward. This is a representation of the rectangle in top view position or in horizontal. Rectangle in horizontal position, rectangle in vertical position. Isometric view of a rectangle. And these inclinations are 30, 30. So how to represent the dimensions for an isometric view is A to B. What is the distance between A to B? 50 mm. So A to B 50 mm kabatti. Draw the extensions from both the ends and dimension line must be parallel to the (50 mm) and to represent here the extension lines must be the extension of these two. This is a way of representing dimensions. Always dimension line must be parallel to the geometry line. So ఇక్కడ మాత్రం extension lines are not perpendicular to the dimension line or geometry line గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. Here the dimension extension lines are not perpendicular to the dimension lines. So extension lines ఎలా చేస్తుంటే we are extending the two edges. ఈ ఎండ్ పాయింట్ మీట్ అయ్యే లైన్ ని సేమ్ 30 degrees inclination తో ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేసుకుంటాం ఫర్ రిప్రజెంటింగ్ ద dimensions. Next, how to represent the isometric and doubt in the Still any of having doubts in this? How to draw the isometric view of a rectangle. Next, isometric view of a triangle. Isometric view of a triangle. This class will complete the isometric view representation of a planes, simple planes. Suppose let there be the equilateral triangle of side 40 mm. How to draw the isometric view of an equilateral triangle of side 40 mm? So first draw the equilateral triangle. Name the corners A, B, and C. Next step is inscribe this triangle within a rectangle. Already AB వచ్చింది. Draw a line parallel to AC. AC కి parallel గా ఒక vertical line draw చేసి inscribe the triangle within a rectangle. So గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి డ్రా చేసేటప్పుడు only the triangle must be with HB pencil. This is the construction purpose. So these three lines must be with 2H pencil. Now name these as point 1 and 2. Point 1 and 2. Now let us draw the isometric view of the rectangle. Already discussed chesam today. How to draw the isometric view of a rectangle? A1 distance. So draw an inclined line at 30 degrees. Next, AC line. Measure the length AC 40 mm. And vertical line. A1 to C. Draw the isometric view of this outer rectangle first. Now, we already got AC points. For getting point B, 1 inch B distance measure change. Measure the distance from 1 to B. 1 as center, drawing arc. 1 as center, drawing arc. If we join, this is the point B. Join CB and AB. Way of drawing a triangle in isometric view. Only rectangle or square. ఈ రెండు అయితేనే మనం డైరెక్ట్ గా ఐసోమెట్రిక్ వ్యూ డ్రా చేస్తాం. 30 degrees inclination and vertical line రిప్రజెంట్ చేసుకుని డ్రా చేసుకుంటాం. అదర్ దాన్ రెక్టాంగిల్ ఆర్ స్క్వేర్ ఈ రెండు కాకుండా ఏమున్నా సరే we will follow the inscribing method. Inclined lines వస్తాయి కాబట్టి ఏ పాలిగన్ తీసుకున్నా we'll get the inscribed line, inclined lines or slant lines. So slant lines ఎప్పుడు వచ్చినా సరే we will follow the inscribing method. Similarly, Drawing the isometric view when it is in horizontal position. Isometric view of triangle when it is in horizontal position. So the same outer rectangle name A1 inclined at 30 degrees. A1 line ni 30 degrees inclination को draw चाहिए. Now AC line measure చేసి left side 30 degrees. So these two angles are 30, 30. ఇక్కడ 30 and this is vertical. So rectangle లో isometric వచ్చేసరికి the sides are not perpendicular to each other. గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. 30 degrees to horizontal in right side and to left side. A1 and this is AC. Now complete the isometric view. And then C2 line inclined at 30 degrees and 1-2 line inclined at 30 degrees. Now drawing the triangle, మనకు కావాల్సిన triangle, not the outer rectangle. Triangle కావాలి. Triangle is on the edge 1 to 2. So 1 నుంచి B distance measure చేసి 1 as center arc draw చేయండి. We'll get point B. Join CB. So the triangle in horizontal position. ఇది triangle in vertical position. So మీరు only triangle మాత్రమే HB తో హైలైట్ చేయాలి. Outer rectangle with 2H. So for clarity కోసం, visibility కోసం I'm erasing. మీరు erase చేయొద్దు. చూడండి how it looks. Isometric view of a triangle. Along చూడండి. Here it is like some vertical position and here it is like some sleeping or horizontal position of the triangle. Now let us draw the isometric view of a pentagon. Isometric view of a pentagon. So isometric of a pentagon of side 30 mm. So first construct the pentagon. The general method. What we did for in the class. Let the sides be A, B, C, D, and E. 5 corners A, B, C, D of a pentagon. Now inscribe this pentagon in a rectangle. Extend the sides AB. Draw a perpendicular line through C and a perpendicular line through E. Inscribe this pentagon within a rectangle. ఒక rectangle లో close అయ్యేటట్టు draw చేయండి. Name these corners as 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now first, drawing the pentagon in vertical position means first to draw the outer rectangle in vertical and horizontal positions. That is completed. 1, 2 line inclined at 30 to horizontal. Height axis always in vertical position. Outer rectangle in horizontal position in the same way. The outer rectangle in horizontal position. Horizontal position అంటే two sides కూడా 30 degrees. Vertical position అంటే ఒక side 30 and other side is vertical direction. Now measure the distance from 1 to A. AB is on the edge 1 to 2. So 1 A distance measure చేసుకుని 1 as center A. Measure the distance from 2 to B. 2 as center mark point B. Next, measure the distance from 2 to C. So symmetric same height ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి 2C equal to 1E వస్తుంది. So C E. Next 4 నుంచి D distance measure చేసుకుని 4 as center point D. Join AB, BC, CD, DE, pentagon in isometric view, vertical position. Similarly, on the second, pentagon in horizontal position. On 1 to 2 edges, we are having the edge AB. Measure 1 to A on a center point A, 2 to B, to a center mark point B. Next, measure the distance from 2 to C, to a center C, 1 to E, 1 a center R. Next, 4 to D, 4 a center R. So join AB, BC, pentagon in isometric view. So distance. So with this, like this, you can transfer any irregular shape or any polygon by describing it in a rectangle. We can draw any plane in isometric view. Again, doubt on that. Can you draw the isometric view of a hexagon? Can you draw the?
ఫ్రంట్ వ్యూలో అక్కడ 1-4 కి 1-2 కి మధ్య 90 డిగ్రీస్ సార్
1-4 కి wait,
1-2
just ఒక rectangle ఇన్స్ట్రక్ట్ చేస్తుంది. This is a rectangle perpendicular to each other. ఇక్కడ perpendicular ఉండదు. ఏ వ్యూలో ఫస్ట్ ఆర్ సెకండ్
సార్
ఇక్కడ 90 ఉండదు.
ఓకే సార్
ఎందుకంటే ఈ వ్యూలో ఎప్పుడు కూడా ఈ లైన్ 30 degrees inclination తో ఉంటుంది. The second line is vertical. ఇది perpendicular. ఇది 30. సో మధ్య యాంగిల్ 16 ఉంటుంది. సెకండ్ వ్యూలో ఎప్పుడు రెక్టాంగిల్ డ్రా చేసినా వర్టికల్ లైన్ వర్టికల్ గా మెయింటైన్ చేస్తాం. హారిజాంటల్ లైన్ విల్ డ్రా ఇట్ విత్ 30 degrees inclination. అలాగే ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ కూడా 90 ఉండదు. అబ్జర్వ్ చేయండి. సెకండ్ వ్యూలో కూడా ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఈక్వల్ టు 90. 30 to left and 30 to right. Total 180. 30, 30. Remaining in the 120. So here the angle is 120. Length axis, depth axis. These two are drawn always 30 to horizontal. Vertical line ఎప్పుడు కూడా vertical తో రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాం. Doubt clear enough?
yes sir
Okay. Can you able to draw the isometric view of a hexagon chestara?
yes sir
Next. What about the isometric view of a circle? Isometric view of a circle. Suppose there are two methods are there. We'll only follow the isometric view by a 4-center method. A simple method where you can draw the isometric view with compass. Suppose if you want to draw the circle in isometric view, circle ni when you see it in inclined direction, a shape lo kandistundi. Circle ni when you see it exactly perpendicular direction, you can see the two shape. What happens if you observe a circle in an isometric view? Inclined position lo చూస్తే ఏమవుతుంది?
ellipse.
It looks as an ellipse. So the circle must be drawn as an ellipse in isometric view. So how to draw this ellipse? First, inscribe the circle in a square. What are the sides of the square?
Diameter of
Square
circle.
equal to
Diameter of circle.
diameter. Yes, equal to the diameter of the circle. So ఏం చేయాలంటే name this corners as A, B, C, D or 1, 2, 3, 4 or first draw the square in isometric view. 30 degrees inclination though. Suppose let us take the diameter as 560 means 60 mm diameter. So 60 mm long line. Square koda 60 by 60 side vastundi. So 60 mm line in 30 degrees inclination, and from here 60 mm long line in now how to draw the isometric view? The circle in isometric view. ఎట్లా డ్రా చేయాలంటే ఐడెంటిఫై ద షార్టర్ డయాగ్నల్. ఈ రెండిట్లో లెంగ్త్ తక్కువ ఉన్న డయాగ్నల్ ఏది? This is lengthy diagonal and this is the shorter diagonal. So let us name the shorter diagonal endpoints as 1 and 2. Shorter diagonal endpoints ni 1 and 2 కింద represent చేయండి. Now mark the midpoints of each and every side. Mark the midpoints of each and every side. 1 ని opposite side midpoint కి జాయిన్ చేయండి. Let these points be A, B. ఈ two opposite side midpoint కి జాయిన్ చేయండి. అలాగే 2 ని join to these two midpoints. Join 2C, 2D. Name these intersection points as 3 and 4. ఈ లైన్ జాయిన్ చేసినప్పుడు ఆపోజిట్ సైడ్ మిడ్ పాయింట్ కి దిస్ విల్ ఇంటర్సెక్ట్. ఈ పాయింట్స్ ని మార్క్ దెమ్ యాజ్ 3 and 4. నౌ 4 సెంటర్స్ ఏమన్నానంటే దీస్ ఆర్ ద సెంటర్స్ 1, 2, 3 and 4 centers. 1, 2, 3 are the 4 centers. Take compass. One has center, one A radius. One center to one A radius to draw an arc. Similarly, 2 has center, 2D or 2C radius. 2C equal to 2D. 2 has center, 2D radius to draw one more arc. Next, 3 has center, 3A radius. 3 has center, 3A radius to arc. Finally, 4 has center, 4B radius. Complete this. So, we'll get an ellipse by drawing 4 arcs. So that's why it is called as 4 center method. Drawing an elliptic circle in isometric view will complete it by 4 center method. Then the process. Generally, ఒక్కసారి మీకు అర్థం కాదు, how to practice. So I will repeat it again in the horizontal question. Vertical question చేసాం కదా. Now let us solve the same in horizontal position. I will repeat the process again. Okay? Horizontal position and both sides 30 degrees. Vertical position అంటే vertical and 30. Horizontal position అంటే 30, 30. Complete the square. Draw the square in horizontal position. Now, what is the longer diagonal? Horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal.
Horizontal is longer. So మనకు కావాల్సింది shorter diagonal. మనం first కావాల్సింది shorter diagonal. Name the shorter diagonal endpoints as 1 and 2. ఇటన్నా ఇచ్చేయచ్చు. No problem. So let this be 1 and 2. Shorter diagonal endpoints ని 1 and 2 కింద మార్క్ చేస్తున్నాం. అలాగే మిడ్ పాయింట్స్ ఆఫ్ ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ సైడ్ నేమ్ ఇట్ యాజ్ A, B, C and D. So let the midpoints of these two sides be A, B, midpoint of the side. C, midpoint of this side as D. 4 midpoints A, B, C, D కింద మార్క్ చేసుకోండి. Now join 1A, 1B, 2C, 2D. Join 1A, 1B, 2C, 2D. So ఇలా జాయిన్ చేసినప్పుడు we'll get the two more intersection points. ఈ two intersection points ని name it as 3 and 4. యాక్చువల్గా నేమింగ్ లెటరింగ్ ఏమీ అవసరం లేదు, బట్ ప్రాసెస్ ఇండికేషన్ కోసం ఐఎమ్ షోయింగ్ ఆల్ ద లెటరింగ్ ఆన్ నెంబరింగ్. మనం చేసేటప్పుడు లెటర్స్ ఆన్ నెంబర్స్ ఆర్ నాట్ కంపల్సరీ. ఎవ్రీథింగ్ మస్ట్ బి డ్రాన్ విత్ 2H pencil. Only the final arcs with HB. So complete అయిన తర్వాత 1 as center, 1 A radius తో, 1 center, 1 A radius తో arc. Next 2 center, 2 D radius arc. Next 3 center, 3A radius arc. 4 center, 4B radius arc. In this way, we can complete the isometric view of a circle in horizontal vertical position and in position. Adana. So first part is drawing the isometric view of simple planes. What are those? Rectangle, triangle, pentagon and circle. These four. So let us treat it as 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. First problem in isometric views sheet. Sheet number 30. Now let us go to the next problem. Isometric view of simple solids, prisms and pyramids. Prisms and pyramids. So that too in the simple positions. Let us, if it is given a pentagon of side 30 mm and axis height 50 mm, a pentagon of base side 30 mm and axis height 50 mm, draw in the isometric position. First case, when the axis is perpendicular to the ground, and second case, when the axis is parallel to the ground, or when the base is on the ground, when the base is perpendicular to the ground. So in two conditions they ask to draw the isometric view of a polygon or pyramid pyramid kani, prisms kani, whatever it may be, all the solids, we have to follow the same procedure. First step, draw the pentagon. Pentagon, and instead of this, let the sides be A, B, C, D, E. Instead, this is a rectangle. A vertical line passing through C. Here, a vertical line passing through E. Let this be 1, 2, 3, 4. Also identify the axis point. So axis point is join the opposite midpoint to point O. So first step, let us draw the isometric view of a pentagonal pyramid with the base on the ground. With the base on the ground. So with the base on the ground, draw cheyali ante. So base horizontal position lo draw chesukoవాలి. So 30 degrees inclination, 30 degrees inclination on both the sides. First complete the rectangle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now measure the distance from 1 to A. Already in the chasm. Mark points A, B, C, D, E. Join. Now measure the distance from O to this end. ఈ ఎండ్ పాయింట్ నుంచి O వరకు డిస్టెన్స్ మెజర్ చేయండి. ఈ ఎండ్ పాయింట్ నుంచి O వరకు డిస్టెన్స్ మెజర్ చేసి ఇక్కడ నుంచి 30 degrees inclined లైన్ డ్రా చేయండి విత్ ద సేమ్ లైన్. ఆర్ జాయిన్ ద మిడ్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ 1 to 2 to D. మిడ్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ 1 2 ని D తో జాయిన్ చేయండి. జాయిన్ చేసి ఇక్కడ నుంచి O డిస్టెన్స్ మెజర్ చేసి మార్క్ పాయింట్ O. Mark point O, the center of the base. Now, axis is what base horizontal ఉన్నప్పుడు axis vertical. So, height axis will draw exactly vertical direction. So, ఇక్కడ నుంచి 50 mm long line. Axis draw చేస్తాం. Exact vertical line from the center O. So join all the base points to apex. AO, BO, DO, EO. And here one more thing is, no need to show the hidden edges. Hidden edges చూపించాల్సిన necessity లేదు with dashed line. And even we can erase them. One కూడా hide అవుతుంది కదా. This is simply the isometric view of a pentagon. అంటే visible edges ను మాత్రమే show it with HB and hiding edges leave it with 2H. So isometric view of a pyramid with the axis in vertical position. So I will show this figure on PPT. I'm sharing the screen. This is how it looks. First draw the pentagon in horizontal position and then draw the axis. Next, join all the apex points towards the base points. In the same way, any cylinder or prism. So we'll discuss the cylinder and the prism in the next class. Okay. I'm sharing this PPT also in the Google Classroom. We can go through this PPT after completion of the class. So let me take the attendance and you can leave next.